We found a C5 Corvette abandoned in this yard for the last 11 years, and the whole car has been overtaken by what looks like a jungle. And on the interior, this is probably one of the moldiest cars we've ever had on this channel. And we thought that was the last of our problems until we opened the other door.
Oh my God, they're falling, ew. Okay, that's disgusting.
I don't know if we can even save this, but there's only one way to find out.
So we have found C1, C3, C4 Corvettes that we featured on the channel, but we've never found a C5 until now. We've been looking for a C5 for a long time, and the only one that we need to round out the collection of Corvettes on our channel is a C2, and that's still evading us. So maybe real quick, I'll say if you do have a C2 Corvette, email us here. It needs to be very dirty, it needs to be abandoned or a barn find. We'd love to come out and do it. That's the last Corvette that we're hunting. But that's not the focus of this video. The focus of this video is this C5 Corvette that has literally been consumed by all of these weeds and by Mother Nature herself.
Dude, I can't believe this is sitting like this. When I was growing up, this was like the Corvette. In the early 2000s, I loved these cars. To see one sitting like this, I never really thought I would. This thing's buried and everything's growing around it. It looks crazy. Should we take a look inside? Let's see.
Oh boy,
Here
it stinks.
Wow.
You'd think that over time we would get used to these smells of these cars, but
No.
we never do. We never do. And we are wearing our respirators much more. We're trying to take care of our health because of all the comments that we've gotten from you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your concern. We are taking that precaution, and we will be wearing respirators pretty much the whole time we're working on the interior of this car, because I don't want to die early, and neither does Mike.
No.
And Brent, well, he's usually chilling in the office editing, but he doesn't want to die either. So
Is this a T-top too?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
glass.
no way.
This is a glass. Some kind of glass.
Why
Yeah.
is it so? You can see through it?
Yeah, well, kind of, yeah.
You think it has like a reflective tint where you can't see from the
Yeah,
top, but you can
look,
see through
look, Brent. Yeah, you can remove that. That's gonna make it easier for us to clean the interior. That's awesome.
We are starting something brand new to the channel with this car specifically. We're gonna be taking it to Cleveland Power and Performance, which is a performance shop that does a lot of classic and new age muscle cars, and they make a ton of power, and they also do general restorations. And we're gonna have them put it on a lift, go over every inch of it, and then give us an estimate to see how much it would actually cost to get this thing back on the road. And if they think they can do it for a reasonable price, maybe we'll become Corvette owners, or if it's too expensive, then we'll be giving it right back to the owner and letting him figure out what he wants to do with it. Real quick, we actually had one of our youngest subscribers stop by the shop. His name is Logan. I'll put a picture right here. Logan and his family came all the way from like Philadelphia area and came all the way to meet me and then go to the Crawford Auto and Aviation Museum. And Logan, he details cars, his little Volkswagen Beetle that should be up here right now. He details it at home. He calls himself RJ, and he makes his mom and dad and sister be Brent and Mike. And at 5 years old, he's already such a great detailer, and by 10 years old, he'll know more than I'll ever know. But I just wanted to give him a quick shout out, and then also mention that it was funny because he thought Mike is very serious on camera for the most part. But Mike is a complete goof off the camera, and he asked me personally, he asked two questions. He goes, what does Mike drive? And I told him, oh, he's got a Volkswagen Scirocco, he's got a Volkswagen Eurovan, he's got
Jettas and
and
Jettas
an Audi S4, yeah.
Yep.
So I told him all the cars that Mike had, and then he goes, he asked me, he goes, is Mike always that serious? And I go, no, Mike's never serious. He just, whenever the camera turns on, he tries to be very professional, which I appreciate. Anyway, shout out to Logan. Buddy, you're gonna be one of the greatest detailers the world's ever known. Keep hunting for barn finds. Let us know if you ever find one, and we'll come out and we'll meet you and we'll detail a barn find together. How about that?
The plane coming in.
Yeah, they've, there's been like 4 or 5 that's landed in the last couple.
You think they're gonna start clapping when they arrive? You got to Cleveland!
I don't think anyone claps when they get to Cleveland. Without further ado, let's go ahead and hook the winch up and pull it out to see what we're actually working with, because half of this thing's still covered by leaves.
Yep.
So while we pull the Corvette out, I want to ask the question in the video, so leave your answers in the comments below. You guys can see so far what condition this car is in, and a lot of people would probably be deterred from ever wanting to touch it or step foot inside of it. But just looking at it now, what do you think Cleveland Power and Performance is going to say later? Or what's your own opinion? Do you think this is something that could be back on the road one day? Or do you think this is a car that would probably be better served as parts? And also, if you're not subscribed to our channel, please take a second and hit that subscribe button. Let's see if we can get closer to 1.1 million subscribers. And now that you've subscribed, let's get back to the shop.
This thing is roached. This is one of the dirtiest cars that I have seen in quite a while. I don't know how long it was sitting outside, but as you can see, it has so much material growth and so much stuff just all over it. When I first joined WD, I never really thought I'd see a C5 Corvette in this condition. Grew up playing Gran Turismo and love these cars. I like C4 Corvettes. I think the body on these cars is just so much better, so much better. It embraces my childhood a little bit, so I really enjoy this car, and it's gonna be a ton of work to get this thing cleaned up. Before we get into the detail, I saw something that shocked me, and Brent hasn't seen it yet, so I want his live reaction on camera. You ready?
Oh gosh, yeah, I guess.
All right. So
What
Brent,
is it?
come over on this side, like right about yonder, okay?
Okay.
Let's see what's behind door number 2.
All right. Oh my God, dude.
Oh,
That's disgusting. They're falling, ew. Okay, that's disgusting.
well, we're gonna close this door and deal with that in a second.
Okay.
All right, with that many ants on the interior, I think the best plan of action is to grab a bug bomb and then try and kill all the ants that are on the inside of the vehicle. That way it's easier for us to vacuum them out, and we also don't fill our vacuum with live ants that we then have to try and dump outside into the garbage. Super lizard would be nice right now. We need a super lizard and maybe some chickens. Some chickens to pick up. Oh.
So really quickly before talking anymore, we're gonna vacuum all this up because they're trying to move their larvae into the car. And the quicker we take care of this now, the less we have to worry about that stuff later on.
Time to bug bomb the Corvette.
Hurry, 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 close it.
Maybe I should do it on the other side. Where though? It's okay. I think
It'll get there.
Now, to be completely honest, I have no idea how these got this messed up. If this car went off-roading before it ended up parked there, or it rained really hard and it got mud all over it, but they're in rough shape. With a little bit of work, I think that these can look brand new.
So the first thing we're gonna do is quickly vacuum everything off the exterior. That way we're not blowing it all over the shop and making it annoying to clean up later. Now let's see if we can make these wheels look brand new again, and if you know what product we're using on them, leave a comment down below and you tell me. And before we forget, Mike had to climb through the back of the car just to open up the gas door, and we have to make sure to clean that out real good in case this car ever gets started again. And now before drying the car, we're going to do a full paint decontamination with iron remover and a clay pad on the buffer, which we normally wouldn't do to a regular car, but because this needs some severe work done to it, it's going to help us save a lot of time.
All right, under the hood of our 01 Corvette is the famous LS1. 5.7 liter V8, making about 350 horsepower. This Corvette is the first Corvette to feature the LS1. Previously, the C4s had an LT1. I'm not sure what all the difference is. All I know is, man, is this motor popular. It has a derived following. People love this motor. But unfortunately, we don't have the keys to this car, so we won't be able to see that. I've never been able to drive a C5 Corvette, but I've always thought to buy one. And now the prices are coming down a little bit, so maybe one day.
Really quickly, Mike, I have a question for you.
What's up?
Obviously you can see this is the engine block here, and then it separates and there's another part here. So what is all
this?
Yeah.
So this is the intake system. It's actually a pretty great system. If you go to the front of the car, it has, these ducts are functional, and then here's the air box with your air filter in it to filter out the air. So it acts kind of like ram air, but it's not called ram air. It's a really great design actually. It makes the whole front of the car nice and smooth. All the air travels down here.
And this is an LS1. Do you know how many LSs are there?
Oh man, I think there's LS2, LS3, I know LS5. LS7's a big motor, and then LS9. I don't know the rest. I'm not a huge Chevrolet guy, but I know they made a lot of motors. If you guys love the LS motor too, let us know what's your favorite LS motor and why. There's good and bad to all motors. Which one's your favorite? I want to know. Moving on to the interior of the Corvette, I'm going to tell you guys about some things that I do really like and some things I don't like. One thing I do like are the seats, except they're out of this car because they're so disgusting. They're so covered in mold that there was no way I was going to sit on those. The next thing that I really like about this car is that it actually has a proper dashboard here that goes up to 200 miles per hour. I don't know if you guys remember the older videos that we did with the 70s Vettes, but they were down at 85 miles an hour, which is ridiculous. 200 miles per hour is where it's at. Something else that I really do think is cool is actually this little traction, I think it's a traction control button. It says active handling, and it's got a little Corvette on it doing a little skid. And then also we have sport and performance mode in this car. Pretty high tech for back then, I suppose. Something I don't like about this car, I mean, this is kind of classic 90s, early 2000s Chevrolet, but all the bubble buttons is what I'm gonna call them, because they look so bubbly. I think they look pretty dated, even considering we work on a lot of cars from the 80s. And also, I have no idea what's going on here, but this steering wheel, I think it's from sitting outside and just getting hot, getting cold, getting hot, getting cold. It's like really sticky. Whatever material this is made out of is failing like crazy. I don't know if we're gonna be able to clean this up at all, or if we're gonna be basically trying to remove this coating that's on here, but it's like every time I touch it, it's leaving prints. I don't know if you can even see that on camera. The last thing that I hate actually about this car, I don't care who you are, what you say, this is hideous. This shift knob must be the ugliest shift knob I've ever seen. But with all that said, I need to get to work. This thing needs a lot of cleaning with all this mold. I need to get my mask back on, so let's get to it.
So the first thing we did with the seats out was vacuum all the floors up, and then we moved on to probably what I think was the most satisfying part of the whole interior, but you guys can make that call. And I thought this was kind of funny, and you guys would like to see the links we go through to make these videos that I normally don't show in the videos, but here's Mike in the trunk, and this car was not taking any power through the battery. So that means in order to open the trunk up, he had to hop in through the back, and he was laying back there trying to open it up. And from our point of view, it was pretty funny to watch, and I think that Mike deserves a lot more credit than he probably gets, because he does a lot of hard laborious work on these videos for us. So if you guys have made it to this point, leave a nice comment for Mike, because I'm sure he's gonna love reading all of them. He really does so much work for WD and for you guys that you'll never even see on video. Now for the whole interior, RJ ended up being sick. He actually caught food poisoning while we were filming this video. So Mike and I tackled this ourselves, and you're gonna find a recurring theme on how we cleaned it. First, we used Puro to spray everything down and wiped it away with a microfiber towel. Then we reapplied Puro and used a steamer to kill all the mold and bacteria and wiped it away again. And wait till you see how amazing the final results on every single piece was. I was even mind-blowing while doing it. Now it's time to pull out the extractor, and we're going to use our extractor soap with a drill brush and get this carpet all clean again. Same thing for the floor mats, but I have to say, you'd think with Corvette, maybe they would have done something a little bit more customized and not so plain. Or maybe that's just my opinion, I don't know. And now is the fun part. We're going to finish up the detail and then we're going to take it over and see if this thing is worth buying or parting out.
All right, guys, so we're here at Power and Performance with Tim and Adam. Thank you guys so much for the time today. We have a very interesting car to show you. I told you it's a C5 Corvette.
Yep.
It was left outside for a really long time. Yeah, we spent the last 3 days working on it, so let's cut the chit chat and
let's take a look at this.
Yeah.
Here at Cleveland Power and Performance in Columbia Station, Ohio, we specialize in just about anything automotive. We have a whole half of the company dedicated to fabrication, customization, engine swaps, and just about anything you could dream up. We have a body shop on site where we do everything from crazy paint jobs to just daily driver repairs. We have a full interior shop to do interiors for the vehicles that we're building to take to SEMA and for the customers that are bringing their vehicles into us. So now let's go take a look at this C5 Corvette that WD Detailing is bringing us to take a look at.
Ooh, okay.
It looks
clean. Better.
It looks, yeah, it looks good, ready to go. All right, so interesting situation on the front bumper there. The whole front end has been, I don't know, do you know any history on the thing, if it's been wrecked?
We got nothing. Yeah. I'm sure it's been bonked and bruised.
This front bumper definitely, headlight door's cracked. That one just totally missing.
The door on this side fender are pretty beat up.
But here, let's go ahead and get it out of here so you can get a better look of the back end and the interior as well.
So what we're going to do is get the car out and get it over their lift so they can take a really good look at it.
It looks very Billy Boat-ish. Yes.
Which is nice. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. All right, so Adam's a Corvette tech because he has a Corvette.
Yes. I have a C5. 99. Slightly better than this one.
Well,
slightly.
All right, so let's walk around underneath this thing. What do you see that's wrong with it?
I would say the standard that we're trying to achieve is just functional. Okay. And how much we would have to buy this and how much we'd have to put into it just to get it functional and for it to be cheaper than buying a decent condition one.
Functional to keep and drive yourself every day, functional to flip on marketplace, functional to let your grandma drive it. How functional are we talking?
Let's say functional to do a burnout.
Oh, okay. That's a whole lot. That's perfect. That's exactly what we do.
Cool.
When we get a lot of these vehicles in, we do a lot of C5s and a lot of C6s. Obviously, they share a lot of similar architecture as a C7, and that's our goal, get it running and driving in our driveway. They typically don't look this rusty underneath because we get them from southern states and they're usually collision vehicles, not ones that sat in somebody's yard for 10 years. Mm-hmm. Although this might have been a collision vehicle. This dude might have got this from insurance and like you said, we just sat on it and had plans that fell through. On the mechanical aspect of things, what are you looking at?
Well, I did notice when we had the hood popped as we were getting ready to push it on, that the brake fluid was really low, and if you like look at some of the lines, there might be a leak somewhere, and that's why the brake fluid's really low. Same, the coolant was really low. It could have evaporated out. There could be a leak somewhere. There could be something like that. Just go through all the fluids, drop the gas tanks out of it, clean them out, because who knows what kind of not gas is in there anymore, and kind of go through each component, a mechanical component of the car, and make sure it's got new fluids, check everything over as far as that, because we don't know if it runs either. So we don't know if there's a problem with the engine. Just kind of work through all those kind of parts.
What do they make these pans out of? Are these fiberglass too?
So these are actually balsa wood.
Yeah.
Really?
With aluminum sheeting on both sides. It's a Corvette thing. Corvettes have had wooden floors since the 50s.
I never knew that.
Yes. Same with like leaf springs. Ever since they've had a rear leaf spring, I think since '63, and now these are fiberglass, which is pretty crazy on how well these cars handle. You know, they have a fiberglass leaf spring in them. They're not even coil sprung, but they're incredible driving cars.
It definitely smells like an old basement underneath here. It just like, it's probably would take a long time to let that like
Air out.
stench vent out of it, but it's got all the typical damage that you see under a C5 with like its front cradles hit in a little bit. It's just because they sit so low. Obviously you have some balance stuff ripped off. The radiator support's kicked up, but it doesn't look like it doesn't look like it hit, like it would have, you know, affected the radiator condenser or fan, so that's good. I would, because since we do a lot of wrecked vehicles, we have to look at the frame and worry about like how straight the frame is. If you're going to be able to physically bolt suspension back into where it needs to go, you don't have to do a lot of that, which would be, it's great. Obviously, you don't have to worry about it. This is, for all intents and purposes, a car that just sat too long. And you want to know how much it's going to take to repair, replace, get this thing on the road. Adam, what are we going to start with? What does it need first?
We got to buy the car first, right?
The price of the car is, what do you think you'd pay for something like this?
Like you leave the deal and you go, I think I got something here. I think I can buy this, fix it, flip it, and make some money.
$2,000?
All right, $2,000.
Yeah.
I'd say that's probably pretty on the money.
So you got to give it a thorough inspection.
I think a day of going through all the components, like we had talked about, putting brake fluid in it, looking for mice, making sure there's no cut wires everywhere, all that good stuff. So I'd say a day labor.
Which is, let's say, $800. Let's say, you know, an 8-hour day at $100 an hour. It's $800, you know, day of labor if there's one guy working on it. This right here is probably the most valuable information you're going to get, because this is going to tell you what you need to do. And at this point, you know if you're going to pass or if you're going to keep it going. So this is pivotal, important. It equals important.
So let's say worst case scenario, all the things that you guys think or fear that could be wrong with it, where do you think labor ends up being?
With repairing all this stuff, sky's the limit. Sky.
That's scary.
Equals limit when it comes to these things, which is any car.
40 to 80 hours, depending on what you got to get into.
That's labor alone.
Yeah, if we have to end up dropping the chassis out of it, we're pulling all the injectors, get them sent out, you got to replace brake lines. Stuff starts adding up, pulling wheels and tires, changing those, doing brakes, ball joints, all that good stuff, you know?
I'm gonna hit it with a $12,000 estimate. And this isn't any crazy paint body or any crazy electrical work, but yeah, I'm gonna say this is like a $12,000 situation.
So it's still gonna look like that.
Yep.
But it'll run and drive.
Yep.
And
it'll start, stop, run, drive, steer, all the good stuff. Probably to the point where you could drive it from here to Columbus and back or whatever. It's gonna look like that. You might be driving it, something might be flapping off the thing down the highway, but you got your $12,000 again, ballpark, plus the $2,000 that it costs to get the car here. If you want to put any incidentals in there for the food that you got on the way, or you know, gas that you put in the tank, or tax, title, blah blah blah, you know, you're ending up around, I don't know, 16 grand, right? 16.
So at that point, can I buy something similar or much better for 16 grand without all the unknowns?
You might be able to find yourself a pretty nice C5 for 16
Can
grand.
you sell your C5 for 16 grand?
Yes.
And it runs and drives?
Yes.
And it looks better than that?
Debatable.
Yeah, I gotta say, it's a hard pass for me, gentlemen.
Yes.
So I will have to decline, and this will be going back to the owner. We're not even gonna make an offer on it, but at least we know. We work on these cars all the time, and sometimes people think that they have gold that's been sitting in their garage or in their yard forever, But until you actually start to get the brass tacks and figure out how much it costs for these barn finds, then you realize that you might not be getting the deal that you expect, or that your car's not worth all that much that you think. Thank you guys for the time. We will definitely be back. Definitely an older muscle car where I think we might be more inclined to actually buy it and then have you guys do some restoration on it.
Yep.
But you guys definitely should check out Power and Performance on YouTube. They do some amazing builds like the 69 Charger behind us. That's like a completely fabricated, it's got so much stuff done to it. So thank you guys again for all the time. We really appreciate it. And we'll bring something a little bit older, a little bit simpler next time.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for watching. We're definitely gonna pass on this, but hopefully you don't pass on subscribing to us. Hit like if you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next week.